Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
This letter that we got from Kate before
Yeah,
says it will impact SNAP and WIC, including Head Start.
I listened to the press release or press discussion today. It would not affect those types of programs. Although the real problem is they haven't figured out which programs it does or doesn't affect, so.
Right.
Bodyguard. It'll be quickly turned back on, is my guess.
That's probably why they were saying there wasn't gonna be any more free lunch. Because that would be, that's a federal grant that's covering that,
Yeah.
or state, but it's paid for by the government. I said, if that were true, a letter would have gone home to all families today.
I would think so too. I mean,
I was like, big roads.
Okay, I'll call this meeting of the January 28th of the South Thompson Selectboard to order. And Jeff, I'm going to ask again if you would mind sharing. It's difficult on Zoom. I can't see the audience at all, so.
no problem.
Okay, thank you.
You ready for the Pledge of Allegiance, John?
Yeah, I don't have a flag again, but I'll get out of sight. Can you guys see me?
We can't see you yet anyway, so.
Oh, you can, okay.
Oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Did that do it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got
there you
it.
go. So, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from December 18th and January 14th?
I move we approve the minutes of December 18th and January 14th.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion, additions, corrections? All those in favor, John,
John, I.
Sue,
Do I?
Jeff, I. Adjustments to the agenda.
I forgot to, when I was working this up with Hannah, I forgot to put on, we were going to talk about voting and town meeting dates. So
Oh,
I think we need to visit that. And I'll be honest with you, I forgot when we get there. I forgot that we need to vote first and then have a bifurcated meeting. The meeting is different night, so I forgot all about that. So,
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah,
anyway.
that's right. So,
yeah. So when we
Yeah.
get there, I just want to remember to not forget it again.
right.
And then Hannah, you indicated to me that when we're doing this, you have a couple of late hires from David for the ambulance.
She's not in here right now.
Yeah, David indicates have you got one, two?
Two, but one was already, has been on previously,
Okay,
so you guys have already met her, but I'll just bring her up again.
okay.
So we need to add one hire from the ambulance
Right.
services.
Ambulance or fire?
Yeah, one.
Ambulance. And the only other thing, I'd like to have a discussion somewhere about our exposure to the frozen grants.
Oh,
The federal government issued today.
Yeah,
And I,
that's fine. I do think that's kind of very fluid. And I read just a few minutes ago, a judge blocked it. We'll see where that goes, but
yeah,
I did, but that's fine. Yeah, because it could impact us and more importantly, the school.
yeah, and, my curiosity is other than the solar panels, any other grants that we currently have that we're expecting money from that could be in jeopardy? So just so we know.
Yeah. Well, certainly we were working on that FEMA reimbursement from those storms last winter, last January. I mean, we were pretty much there. I just about, correct me if I'm wrong, Hannah, but the next step was to get a check, right?
right.
So. And I
Okay.
can't think of anything else, but when we get there, so you want to add that as an adjustment?
Yeah. Any other adjustments? We had ambulance hire
Oh, yeah.
and voting and town meeting dates.
Yep.
As a discussion. And old business update on the forest preserve, Sandra, and you are here and we have something from you too.
Yeah, I'm gonna come up there.
Please do.
Raj, you can hear me?
Yeah, that way John might be able to see you.
So. Have time to beat it. I can walk you through it.
Yes.
Sandra, I just want to say thank you for this very thorough, timely work. It just makes our job a lot easier, or at least I find it makes my job easier.
Well, thank you. More coming because what we're working on is a timeline of what we have to do both to qualify for the grant and be able someday to open the preserve to the public, and what deadlines, what resources we're going to need, volunteers, money, whatever. So that's in the works, but it'll be a while. Or we may be able to give you periodic updates as it goes along. So tonight we're asking the select board for two things. Well, and some subsidiary bits. We want your approval to go ahead and enter contract negotiations, discussions with the forester we've selected. We understand that the contract will be with the select board and you'll have to approve the terms. But we would like to get started as I lay out what we need her, hopefully her, assessment report recommendations for is a basis for developing there'll be a forester's management plan, but that's management of forest. That's not management of the whole preserve, the roads into it, the trails, all that. So that second thing, as I've explained, is a condition in effect of the grant. That one of the conditions of the grant is that we have to enter into an approved agreement with our designated state agency, which will be Rex Turner of Bureau of Parks and Lands. And in that agreement, we must commit by 18 months after the agreement is signed, not 18 months after we get the money, but maybe it'll be 16 or 15 months by the time we get the money, to have a plan, a management plan in place for the whole preserve that he has approved. So backing up and trying to see all the pieces that we need to put into place to make that happen. This is one task we can get started on, where a lot of the other tasks, we have to wait. You have to do A before B before C. As with the survey, this is one task we could get started on, and it's hopefully not prohibitively expensive. Estimated in the range of 3,200. That's based on an old number, and we'll have to find out if there's some painful surprises in the money department. We laid out the process we've gone through to interview and make a decision about which licensed forester we would like to work with. And rather than go through it all, if you've read it, if you could just tell me if you have questions.
I've got one.
Okay.
We have to have the management plan in place within 18 months
After,
after.
yes, we sign an agreement that must be in the package of, we have checked off these tasks before LMF will finally approve the grant and give us the money. 18 months after we sign that agreement, which you might have to do a month or two ahead, we have to have the management plan approved and in place.
I don't have any questions. I think we're talking now about the forestry question, right? The forester question.
Then the only question is, may we go ahead, tell Maren Brandstrom that we would like to work with her, hopefully find out she's still available to work with us, and discuss the terms, which we would explain to her that the contract will be with the select board, and we'll have to run the terms by you folks. I'm sure she's familiar with that kind of process.
Well, I'll make a motion to authorize the Conservation Commission and or its representatives to enter into contract discussions with Maren
Yes.
Yeah,
Brandstrom.
Grandstrom for licensed forester for a forestry plan for the forest reserve.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, John?
John, I.
Sue?
Sue, I.
Jeff, I.
And next is money. And just for context, as I said, we're only talking about resources we will or may need through the end of this fiscal year, because we've been asked to delay discussion of anything in the future to the budget discussions. And if I understood correctly, that's the message that got to me. So I've got a bullet pointed list of things we foresee. the access easement survey with Mayfield, we've already got an agreement with him. He would have been paid his 500 retainer. I have a question down the road about that, and we have no idea when he'll be able to do the work. He certainly can't be doing it right now. It's got to be clear of ice and snow and so on. So either he got to it before, and I didn't want to call him and ask, and John, I didn't know if you knew.
No,
So I didn't. If he hadn't already done the site work, he's gonna have to find a break in the weather. And then he's going to have to do a lot of, drawing and stuff back at the ranch. So I don't know, is it even worth asking him where things stand?
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I didn't.
he should be
wanna-
able to give us an estimate of what he.
Yeah,
what he
okay,
thinks.
well, I can ask for how that's going. And we have his estimate, which is an estimate, and I can always hope it's comes in a bit lower. And then once that is done, we need legal work done by Melissa Reynolds, who we've also been discussing with. I believe at some point she mentioned a figure, but I don't have a reliable recollection of it. But what she said was she likes to do these kinds of tasks for municipalities, and she was not going to charge us what she would be charging a private client, whatever that means. But we've talked to her about doing both. The consolidating 5 parcels into one, which would make all of our legal work going forward forever simplified. And I'd like it to happen before we give the easement to the preserve, so that that's a cleaner transaction.
Can I
So-
interrupt? Can I interrupt
Yeah.
1 second? Somebody's speaking in the background and it's causing me not to be able to hear you. I don't know if it's Zoom.
It's gonna be noisy for a minute.
They've
What?
got a call.
Okay,
Yeah, it's.
Hey, you want to just hold a minute?
no, I'll listen now that if they got a
Okay.
call, that's important. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why, yeah, okay.
I thought it was just someone with an open mic.
No, we're not. Okay, so. Don't know what that's gonna cost, but that is definitely something we need to do to keep the process moving, because not until we've got the easement granted to the preserve can we go forward seeking title insurance. So these are the things that kind of stack up. I can't imagine it would be a miracle of title insurance if we needed to actually get that paid for it this fiscal year, but hopefully next. So that's, and then the recording of surveys, deeds, backup, supporting documentation. And that's not a huge expense, but an important one. So then we look at our money situation. We received donations of nearly 6,000, and we have another commitment of 2,000. But at least 1,500 of that seems to have been spent, and we don't know on what, and I've asked the office if we could please have an accounting, and what I would like in, going forward is for us to be able to understand where we stand, how we're doing. We need to know when money is spent from the donations or from the reserve, so that so we can plan, so we can see where we are, what we need to do. We can guess at where some of that money has gone, but we really don't know.
Well, money from that account shouldn't be, pulled unless you guys pull it or we pull it.
1,500 have gone somewhere because the difference between the donations and the money in the account on the page that Hannah gave me is $1,500.
We said 2,000 has been promised. What does that promise do?
That's me. My husband and I will give 2,000. And
So-
we'd like it to go to.
Oh,
pay
so
for
that,
it.
so it'd be a total of 8.
That's correct.
Okay.
So
I
the,
misunderstood that.
so the town office can't tell you in a matter of
Well, they
seconds
have-
what
I
the
expect
money,
they can someday.
huh?
They have not yet.
Did you ask?
Yes.
Hannah, did you look into that?
I have not yet.
My recollection is, and I could be wrong, and I don't want to confuse things, but the grant didn't cover Nate's survey the first time.
Well, that was one of our speculations that
Yeah.
some, but if that wasn't 1,500.
But that information should be able to be pulled up in a matter of like 30 seconds or something.
It would be nice, and someday we'll get it, and that would be very helpful.
But it shouldn't be someday. It should be,
Tomorrow would be nice, yeah, it's okay.
and
So-
probably, and what about the retainer? Was that paid? 500 retainer?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
500 plus whatever, but for all I know, the reporting of the first deed, the first survey, may have been taken out of that. We don't know.
Well,
So,
that's something Hannah should be able to give you in no time.
good. Right. So anyway, we're going to need more money, and so we want to put out a new call for donations, but we'd like it to be accompanied by a report to the town. Here's what we've done, here's what it's cost, here's what we're gonna need to raise, to get the job done, and ask for more donations. I had written here, but Catherine told me that wasn't quite right. She said, I had said we proposed to send it to the press. She said we should do it if that's okay with the select board. But that would have been the case that would have been it in any case. So that's all. The timeline and the donation request are all sort of a combined task that we're engaged on now. And hopefully very soon, maybe by the February select board meeting, are you having only the one?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
We've got one on the 11th, but we've also got budget meetings,
Oh.
two
Yeah.
budget meetings next week.
Right. Well, we can maybe get, when our turn comes, we can talk about that in the budget meeting as well.
Yeah.
So. But,
So I have no problem at all with the appeal, and I don't feel that I'm smart enough to limit where it should go, but I do think your idea of coupling it with this is what's happened so far, this is what it can potentially bring us, this is where we're moving is a great idea. I think just to send out another open hand is
no.
not
we
as
send money.
is
No,
not
we
as
don't. We give them a
strategic.
reason.
And I think people need to understand what you need, all of us need the money for, so.
Yeah, exactly. But,
Yeah, and I think that can come from you guys.
oh, yes, that was another sub question.
Yep.
Great.
Unless John's got an objection. to
No,
that.
we will run.
No,
it by
no,
you.
I don't have an objection at all.
But we'll run it by you, because you often have good thoughts about what to say and how to phrase it and everything. But then the other piece of this is there is a $20,000 reserve. And what we would like is a sort of maybe a working understanding that we're raising as much money as we can, but if the bills come in faster than the money does, we can turn to the reserve to pay the bills.
Which is what we built the reserve, part of what we built the reserve.
Okay.
So we just need to authorize pulling money. So when it comes time to pull it out, it
Yeah,
needs to come
so-
back to us,
Okay,
but that's my understanding is when you guys have pay requirements that exceed your donations, then you'd come to us and say, I need to pull $800 out of the reserve.
all right, and just the one footnote there is that in terms of who pays for the easement survey, we would like some part of it to come not from the forest preserve money, but from the town, because some of what we've asked Nate to do is locate buildings on the town property, which is of interest to the town and not particularly of interest to the preserve.
Well, all the money in the reserve came from the town.
Right.
All the money in the reserve account came from the
No,
town.
no, I'm sorry, I moved on to a different point. When we decide how to divide up or who pays the bill for the easement survey, I'm merely suggesting that some of it is an expense to benefit the town that does not particularly benefit the forest preserve. I mean, locating where the buildings are in the stump dump.
I think we're cutting too fine a line, too big a distinguishment between them. I think both of them benefit the town.
Right.
And so whether it comes from the town money that's been set aside in a reserve for the forestry project, or it comes from some other town resource, it still comes out of the same pocket. So I think
Yeah.
Well, in the end, it's all the towns, but I do see Sandra's point. And I think sort of knowing the parameters of where the stump dump is, which we asked him to do, really is not critical to the LMF grant. So I have a little different take on it. I don't
But
see
do we
it.
want him to give us two bills? Do we want him to delineate what cost is associated with which part of the project? I still see it as one big project. And then which pocket we take it out of is almost moot.
Right, and where do we have extra money set aside for that?
Yeah. Yeah, I just see Sandra's point that, they would like to hang on to that forest preserve money as long as they can for functions that are strictly related to the forest preserve. And I get that.
Okay, that's
And
all I'm trying to get across.
But anyways, we don't need to decide that tonight anyways. And I do think if we're gonna go through all this trouble of getting surveys done and where those roads are located, it'd be nice to get the buildings and the stump dump pinpointed as well. I mean, you're probably never gonna get it cheaper. But
I
that's
agree.
just my thought.
Oh, yeah, I agree. We should do it all at the same time and just.
Okay, that's it. I think I've got everything I asked for, guys.
All right,
Thank you.
good. Thank you very much. So David, it's you now.
All right. So I have two new members that want to join the ambulance service. First one, she was on before, she ended up having a baby, had to leave for a while until everything got settled with that. Now she'd like to come back and help out when she can. Her name's Cynthia Carter. like I said, you guys have already met her, she's been through this process. She's in it.
Sorry to interrupt, I can get her on the Zoom link right now. Or on my phone if that helps. Okay.
She's an advanced EMT. She did per diem for us for, she lives in Durham, so she'd be doing day shifts and night shifts here. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Unless anybody has an objection, I would consider her already hired and on, sabbatical.
Yeah, that's what I figured, that's why I asked her to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell her welcome back.
All right, perfect. The other one is Trinity Dearborn. She is here. She's an advanced EMT also, wants to join and help us out. I'll let her, just give you guys a little background about herself.
So I've been doing EMS work for about 5 years in Thomaston. I'm per diem with them as well, and just like to have a little bit more experience in other towns as well. And I plan on, if I get hired, to stay here at night because it's just easier to roll off a cot than try to warm up my truck to get here. I live about 10 minutes away from Rockland. So advanced as well.
Good. And you live in Rockland?
I do. But I live on Thomaston Street, so I'm
Almost
not
here.
that far away.
Yeah. And you're gonna continue running with Thomaston?
Yep.
Okay. John, you got anything?
No,
Sue?
No.
Well, I'll make a motion to authorize the hiring of Trinity Dearborn, in accordance with the ambulance director's request.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I
All
just
those in
wanna,
favor?
one quick thing. This is actually isn't related to Trinity, but I wanna, it's related to new hires in general. It came to my attention, I can't remember, I was talking to Terry or someone, and it really nothing to do with David. But that we had people that were starting working before they had filled out their paperwork. And I just want to make sure everyone understands that cannot happen. They need to, just because we hire them, they need to complete that paperwork in the town office, all the forms and get all the policies and so on and so forth before they can start work. Workers' comp, it brings up a whole host of issues. So, I'm just calling that out in general. Again, nothing to do with Trinity.
Yeah, these guys can't sign up for a shift until all that's done and we've completed other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, but
David's agreeing with you.
Yeah, but evidently this person, they couldn't get the paperwork filled out until she realized she wasn't gonna get a check. And then all of a sudden she came right in and did it. So, but thank you, David.
Okay, well, all those in favor, John,
John, I.
Sue,
Do I?
Jeff, I. And did you have something else?
Yeah, I think there was a couple things. Wages and the fire truck. Check that we just received.
Oh, the 37.5,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, plus we wanted to talk about financing.
Yeah. Yeah, we might as well go ahead and do that all. Right. Were you here for something specific? Or
Me?
Yes.
I wanted, how you come along with demo fees?
Oh, okay, that'll be a general discussion later on. So, okay. So I think the first thing we probably ought to approve this or finalize the approval of the sale and to accept the funds for the disposal of the fire truck.
I'll make a motion that we accept, is it 37.5? Is
Yes,
that the correct amount? $37,500 for the sale of the fire truck, retroactive to last Saturday, I guess.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I just, I understand the urgency here and the fact they had a truck there, and I understand that David stepped up and he's being fire chief and ambulance director, and he's got a full-time job and he's busy as a one-arm paper hanger. But I think we need to follow the process, and this stuff needs to happen, not retroactively. But having said that, I'm willing to vote for it.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, John,
John, I.
Sue,
Sue, I.
Jeff, I. So you want to talk financing or wages? Let's do wages first. So you're on.
This is my first time coming to the selectmen meeting to talk about this. Usually it's just in a selectmen budget meeting. So not really sure what you guys are expecting, but
Well, I think the words we put out is if you're good with the 2.5%, then just do it at the budget meeting. But if you want to do something different than the 2.5%, then you need to come to the select board ahead of time to get our thoughts on it.
okay, all right.
Can I have a point of clarification?
Yeah,
The agenda says fire department, and I understood from Hannah this afternoon that it should have said ambulance. Is that correct? Are we all in agreement on that?
The ambulance fire.
it's both.
Oh, it's both. Okay. Because the agenda says fire
Right.
and it doesn't say anything about the ambulance. And then Hannah told me it was just the ambulance, not the fire. And now I'm hearing it's both. So, okay.
Okay.
All right, so the first part, when I took over the EMS, so last year, we finally got the fire chief's position up to the ambulance director's position, so they were both, pay, so they were both the same. And then in the middle, we moved some money over to make the deputy a little bit higher to help out. And we said that we would talk about this when we're coming up to the next budget. So that was one thing for bringing that back up to meet the stipend for the fire chief's position, so that they're both the same. So that would just be the same 2.5 COLA, but so they'd both be $12,176 or whatever it is.
So it's returning us to the equity and then the normal 2.5%.
Yeah, that amount there is with the 2.5.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay. Can someone, I kind of missed that a little bit. I don't understand.
I don't know if it was last year or the year before, we adjusted the director's pay for a deputy position.
Wasn't that when,
Yeah, so.
that was just recently?
So like last year,
when-
the year before, the fire chief's position was way behind the EMS chief's position.
Correct.
So a couple year or two ago, whenever it was, we brought the fire chief up to the EMS chief's stipend pay. When the swap just happened with the EMS chief position, we took $800-900, whatever it was, and put that onto the deputy chief's position to bring them up to 5,000. And we had mentioned in that meeting that we would bring this back up again in the next budget season.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
To get that back up to where they're both matching again.
But
So that's why I'm bringing it up.
Didn't we raise the deputy because they were taking on more duties than previously? Isn't
Yeah,
that one
I
of the
was-
reasons we did that?
I was out on call. I missed a lot of that meeting. So, I mean, the deputies, yes, doing a little bit more, but, yeah.
So what this is doing is it's taking us back to where we were before we combined the two positions.
Well, we added more money back in. We didn't take any money away, we just
No,
distributed it, so we'd be adding more money back in.
We'd be keeping it this,
No,
No, we're adding more.
we're
Right.
adding, yep,
well, we're adding if we don't impact, if we don't make the same adjustment to the other one that we added it to, right?
no.
Well,
because
we're
we
not
didn't-
talking about pulling the deputy salary back.
Right,
No, that would be whatever it is, the $5,000 or,
I'm talking about taking what
Okay.
we took from that to bring the deputies up and add that much more to the
Okay,
budget.
okay, all right. My thought we were taking it back to what it was.
yeah, no, I
Before
don't
we
think away.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause part-
I think, I get it now, and I think we should discuss this, more in depth at the budget meeting.
David,
Right.
can you write that up in a proposal? and
Like
send
that,
it to us?
all this, that's why I was really confused why we're talking about this tonight with all this stuff, because this is more budget stuff for me than.
Yeah,
Well, I think it is.
Well, well, I think the idea, David, is that if you're just coming in and giving folks a COLA, that's simple, but if it's complicated, I think we'd like to know ahead of time so we can think about it a little bit and not have to make a decision that afternoon in the budget meeting. I mean, we'll have to make a decision, but we'll have had time to think about it a little bit.
Yep, I totally understand that.
That's the rationale.
And then discussing with the officers on a EMS department. We have the stabilization grant coming up for wages. We did not touch the shift pay stipend last year, so we were hoping to raise that a little bit this year. And then raise the hourly wage for the licensed people, well, all the ambulance crew, up a little bit above the COLA.
Could you
Oh.
also include that in the proposal?
Yeah.
Because I'd like to see the proposal and then look at the past few years and see, because I thought that all ambulances got quite a bit of
last year.
pay last year to bring them up to surrounding towns.
The hourly,
Yeah, they get
yes,
a
the
lot,
hourly,
they get a lot.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
but
should.
I do recall we didn't increase the shift pay. Or whatever it is when someone's on, is it based, correct me if I'm wrong, when someone's sitting at home and they get some sort of pay,
yes,
is
That's a
that
shift
correct?
pay.
We did not adjust that, correct?
Is
yeah,
that like
that's,
an
exactly.
on-call pay? Is
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, so
Essentially
if
what
people
that-
work from home at nights, if they live around close
Uh-huh.
here, they get shift pay. So it's like a stipend they get for that 12 hours that they are at home.
Yeah.
To be on call. We
No.
didn't touch that. Cause we
So,
brought up
Dave-
our hourly pay to stay with other towns, but other towns right now are just, I mean, they are just. The hourly rates that some of these per diems are getting in these other towns is just unreal. Like what Rockport's paying right now for their members it's crazy. So it's hard to keep
Mhm.
members if they can skip over somewhere else and make a couple more dollars an hour. So it's very hard.
The
So I don't
problem,
wanna get
right,
behind the 8 ball on the hourly either, because, we brought ourselves up to what they were, some of the towns were last year. Well, now they're gonna go and increase again this year, and then it'll be behind the 8 ball again, so that's, maybe there's just a in-between that we could do to just keep us close, but, just to try to help with members, I don't know.
well, I guess without specific numbers by categories, it's difficult to make a decision tonight. But I understand what you conceptually you're talking about, so if you could prepare something with exact numbers and positions, that would be very helpful, and get it out to us before the budget meeting, that would be very
Right.
helpful.
For the meeting, okay.
Yeah, matter of fact,
Well before.
sooner, well before.
Well before,
Yeah,
yeah.
sooner rather than later.
Right, yeah, I didn't mean an hour before the budget.
Yeah, no, I have all the numbers pretty much written down, I just need to get them on paper to send to you guys. And then it kind of be, not as much, but just the kind of the same for the fire department, it'd be just over the COLA a little bit to equal out the pay a little bit, make it a little bit easier than like a 1753, just round it would be better, but then I'll put that on there too. Because the fire department we're always bumping up pay for the ambulance and they've gone way, I mean, we're not even, and I'm not expecting the fire department to be close to the EMS, but I mean, we've just been taking what we get and it'd be nice just that little extra bump to give to the people on the fire side to show that we're not just giving it all to the ambulance all the time.
But wasn't the ambulance paid for with money from the state?
The stabilization grant.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's one reason why I'm bringing this up again, because I believe it's March that we're due for that again.
But it won't continue to pay for it.
right. It was 2 years, right? This is the second and last year?
This is the second one, yeah.
And is this a grant that we could possibly be in danger of losing?
I don't know the answer to that.
You know, so it's
No idea.
all something to think about.
I
Oh, you
think
mean
of
because-
any of our grants, this is probably in the least, is in the least jeopardy.
But this isn't federal money, is it?
No, I don't believe.
State money. I think this is state money.
Is it state that came from federal? I don't know.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking it was federal money that went to the state.
Yeah,
Pretty
Oh.
sure it was.
Oh. Well,
They already have that money, all right? They
I
already
think
have
so.
this second round.
it's probably promised, but I don't know if they have it or not. And right now, they can't even disperse the money they've got. From what I've read.
Interesting.
So,
if
I
we
mean, I
do
think
get,
just make
Go
the
ahead.
proposal and get it to us in plenty of time so we can have everything that we need to make a decision. And I need time to look at it and compare it to other things too.
Yeah.
Do you mind just giving me like a date to have it to you guys and I, just so I have something to shoot for?
10 days.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. It
24
doesn't
hours,
matter.
okay.
24 hours.
Just kidding.
So the 7th,
so
February.
February 7th.
Yeah, sure, good.
So I have another question. So this second stabilization grant, the first year, we put a significant amount in our ambulance reserve. And I know that's not exactly what we're talking about here tonight, but does your proposal include enough funding to continue that or?
Yes.
Uh, okay, so you're not talking about chewing up all the money with,
No,
okay, okay.
no, like, I believe it's $25,000 that will be going into the ambulance reserve from that 40 or $50,000, whatever it is. Of the grant, so like half of it's going into the capital improvement for the ambulance.
Okay,
And then the rest is to buy a few pieces of equipment and wages.
well, I think we also need to find out if this is federally sourced money or if it's state money. I thought it was state money, but I could be wrong.
Well, I do remember it's coming from the state, but I think the source of it was federal.
Yeah,
Just,
And there's
just
gonna-
like about 80% of what the state gives is federal.
yeah, and there's not, and I'm afraid there's not going to be a lot of clarity around this for some time to come.
I think some of the easy ones probably will, and I think this is an easy one, actually. This doesn't fall into any of the gray areas that they're going after. Anything else?
Nope. That's all I had, and I'll write that up.
Yeah.
Get it right to you guys.
Financing. Truck financing.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I thought you were gonna,
No, that's next. It's
okay,
The truck financing. So I think we have the actual number that we need to finance. And do we have when we're gonna have to actually pay the money?
When the truck gets in.
And we're expecting that
I
months.
tried to get an update, before tonight, and he still didn't have an update. The truck, as far as, he said it was still kind of on plan, the chassis should be going in the factory right around the 1st of February. So it's not even in the factory started yet.
Okay.
But once it gets in there, there's a lot of it's already been built. So once it gets in there, it's usually around a month, he said, that they can have it complete down there. And then it'll have to get delivered to Brunswick and then be decaled and all of that stuff. So I'm guessing, the earliest would be middle of March, but I'm guessing more like the 1st of April, around the 1st of April, but it all depends. If they don't get the chassis in there until the middle of February, it's gonna push it back, so.
Oh, I thought, I was under the impression it was coming any day now.
No. No, they
Oh.
keep telling us February.
Well,
is
that's
the
not
due
what
date. That
I,
February's right around the corner now. So-
Very close.
no. So if that's the case, I make a motion, we table this, because I don't feel we're in good shape here at all. We were scrambling around last second trying to put this together. And there's been different numbers tossed around. And then the quotes that Hannah got, she has mailed it out. Instead of subtracting the 37.5, she added it. So I make a motion, we table this then. Because I
Yeah, I don't-
actually felt very uncomfortable doing this tonight because but I thought we had to have it.
No, I'm sorry if I missed, if I.
No,
wrote
no,
that wrong.
that's what, I think that's what Hannah informed me, but I'm assuming she got that from somewhere.
But I think Monday morning quarterback, and it looks like David's concern was, where are we getting the rest of the money? And is it on our list of things to do in the next couple
That's
days?
exactly right, because
Well,
I
no,
don't wanna hold this truck up, because we have to figure out how we're gonna pay for it
Right.
when the time comes. That was what I was getting at. Because I hadn't
well,
heard anything talked
and
about
I
it for a
heard that,
while.
I heard that same message, but I also heard it was coming any day. So I make a motion, we table this.
Okay,
I'll
Yeah.
second that.
any further discussion? I have a little bit. Can we at least talk about what the number is that we think it is and whether we're leaning towards an annual payment or a monthly payment and a 4-year versus a 5-year? Because I think that'll simplify this whole thing. I think the number is 298, 196.85.
That's what I believe too, but I would like the time to double check that because that number's floated around. I got a number from Terry earlier that was $3,000 different than that, I think.
Okay, and I think, John, you're the one with the spreadsheet that has that information.
Yeah, but I sent
Okay.
that up and asked them, Terry and Hannah and everybody to look at them all over, make sure I had the reserve amounts right. And I don't feel 100% confident yet that I think that's the number, but I don't feel 100% confident. But I think it's in that neighborhood right now. And I think the monthly versus annual is if we don't, although now if it's not coming to March, we don't have any money budgeted to make monthly payments in April, May, and June.
Right. Right.
So I think,
Answers that.
so, I mean, we could always make those payments. I guess it wouldn't be a lot, but I mean,
Well-
typically we do annual payments, maybe interest twice a year. And that way we can budget the exact payment in next year's budget. So that would be my choice.
That was my thinking, is it's easier to do it, because then the first payment isn't even gonna be due until, it may not even be due until 27.
Right, it'd be
If-
due 1 year from the closing. And if that's the
Right.
case, that's gonna change all the numbers.
Correct.
So we really need to know when the damn truck is coming. I mean, that's kind of the key.
You won't know until it's headed for Brunswick. That's
Yeah,
when I'll
well,
have a better idea.
yeah, and the bank's not gonna give you money until the truck's here. Because this is not a bond.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to catch 22 with this date. I mean, and then in terms of the years, I think I mean, we didn't have the interest amounts, but if you just take the principal amount of 298 and again, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm not prepared to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's such a small difference between the interest rates for 4 versus 5 and a significant decrease in the annual payments that I like the 5-year plan personally, but anyway.
Well, and I think the other thing that bears on this, are we gonna, and this is maybe quite timely, I'm assuming David's gonna want to budget or ask to budget starting a capital reserve for replacement of another truck. So, you kind of got to look at those together somewhat too. But anyways, I still move we table this.
Okay, it's been moved, seconded, discussed ad nauseum. All those in favor, John,
John, I.
Sue,
Do I?
Jeff, I. Okay.
What, just real quick, what do you have for the total price of the truck, not counting?
Oh, I don't have.
Okay, 'cause I did get
I have
a
that.
price from the salesman.
I have that.
I didn't know what you guys used.
It was
that's
in
all.
an email to Terry back on September 14th, 2022 that said the international tanker was 5,000, excuse me, 5,550, 552,930.
That's exactly what the salesman had wrote to me the other day, so.
Okay.
So we're on the same,
Okay,
still on the
And
same
that-
page.
Yeah, and that's a key number.
Yeah.
And I wasn't 100% sure that number hadn't changed.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. He just sent that to me the other day, so we're all good on that.
Good.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you, David.
Is that it for my one?
I think that's it.
Thank you, David.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, maybe not. Are you in on the ambulance write-offs?
No, really.
No, okay.
I'll sit in and listen.
Never mind. I think that's next, unless somebody's got something else. We do have something in our. So these are the same ones that we looked at last time with their insurance information added, is that right?
I did speak to Amy about it a little bit. She told me that only the chair could request this information regarding address and just where they lived due to their billing. She said it was a HIPAA violation, just so you know.
Only the chair, meaning John.
Right,
Well, he's the
Well-
one that requested it.
He is the one that requested it.
right, I just wanted to point that out.
And all I wanted to know was how many of them were residents and how many weren't. I don't think that's a HIPAA violation.
No,
I don't
because
either.
that's not asking for anybody's name or
Right.
address.
Right.
I do see that most of these people on this list have no health insurance. And I assume the small amounts of the people that do are deductibles.
Right. And I
and
don't. I see no South Thomaston residents.
no, they're all out of town, and some are way out of town. The one thing I still don't feel I have a good handle on is the dates. On the sheet you gave us last week, Hannah, you have some dates. It says account assigned D and account last service. Something they can't read it all because of the computer spacing. Do you know what those dates stand for?
I believe the first one was the date of transport, and then the date of last service was the date they went into the account.
Well, that's odd because
But I could be
the
wrong.
service is older than the assignment. If you look at the last one, it was 2021 under account last SE, whatever it says. And then account assigned. Does that mean assigned to the collection agency?
I believe so,
But you don't know.
exactly.
I guess other than where they lived, I don't feel like, I mean, what did the collection agency say when you talk to them?
Just that they try to get in touch with them, and they haven't, there's not much they can do.
So they are viewing these as all uncollectible?
For the most part, they still they still try to call once in a while, but they don't, it's not like a everyday thing.
Is there not a set, I mean, how do they determine the charge? Because these are all over the board if they haven't paid anything. Or some of these been partially paid.
Some have been partially paid, like the lower amounts. But the most with like over 1,000 have not. That's based on the service.
Yeah, it's not a flat rate that they charge, it's
Based on
what they do,
like that.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, because there's one that's like $295, so, you know, they must have paid a fair amount.
Well, they have insurance, so.
Oh, okay.
So those are the two, that and the 290, those are probably deductibles.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Insurance paid the bulk of it, they still owe that.
Yeah, the
This-
small amounts, I'm assuming are deductibles or something like that, or co-pays.
I mean, I'm inclined to write these all off, they're all 2 years old and I don't think we're ever gonna see the money. I hate carrying them on our books.
We got rid of the Medicaid ones last month, right? Last meeting,
Yes,
Yep,
because they will not pay after a year or whatever it is. Two, whatever.
why is the current balance less than the account as? They look like they're all the same numbers.
yeah, except, yeah, the only difference is the ones that looks like they paid. That one individual that paid for two.
Oh, okay. I was looking at that as going in with the number. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So John, you wanna make a motion to,
No,
no?
no, I don't.
Well, I'll make a motion to write off the $16,889.50 owed on the ambulance account. Do I have a second? Doesn't sound like it, so it dies.
I'll second it for discussion purposes.
Yeah,
So I have more questions, sorry. No, I guess I don't. It just doesn't feel right to me. And I understand your logic, Jeff, and you're probably practical. It's a practical solution, but and I guess my other question is this it? Is this bring us up to date? Or do we
till
have
next
other?
year.
Until,
Oh, 6 months, right? Every 6 months.
yeah, until I send out my 3, or actually 4 letters and they don't reply to those. And then I send them to collections.
So how many do we have in the pipeline?
This is right now, this is current.
Right, but how many do we have in the pipeline that aren't on this list?
Oh, I'd have to check them out, count them all up.
Well, is it 2 or 100 or 1,000?
There's only a couple right now that I'm
Okay.
seeing.
And then I guess the whole other question is this collection even worth it? I mean, I guess it is in a way because we don't pay for it unless they get money, but it just doesn't seem like it's been very effective either.
Looks like they've collected 2,000 on 20,000, so. What is that?
Yeah.
That's 10%.
I
Yeah.
think some people are less likely to pay something that comes from a collection agency, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
They're just
Less
like-
likely? Less likely?
Yes. I think
Really?
they're more likely to pay if it's coming from us than it is from a collection agency.
Well, maybe we should have that discussion in the future about whether we want to continue this process. But Hannah sends out 3 or 4 letters.
Yeah. Yeah,
So if
I
that doesn't
think-
do it, what else is gonna?
I don't think anything else is gonna do it. I just don't want us to get in the boat we were in several years ago where we could not show any kind of a profit for the ambulance because because so many people owed us money. I mean, that was a hole we couldn't, it was really difficult to dig out of, and I just assume we stay on top of these and.
How does writing, I don't understand that part. How does writing these off make us profit?
It shows as a due in, and so we can't count the money that we know that we anticipate coming in. Because this is already anticipated, so it comes right off of the bottom line of our budget. It decreases our budget by whatever that amount is.
Because that's expected to come in.
Correct.
But the auditor does make an adjustment for anticipated uncollectibles.
Right.
I think she's a little not perhaps as harsh as she perhaps should be, but.
But I remember us having this discussion with her before, and she said, that's your job is to write that off, not my job.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that, but
Right,
I'm saying when we don't write them off and they're still there, she has a certain amount that she books as anticipated uncollectible.
Yeah.
It's a certain percentage of it, but I don't think her percentage is necessarily high enough. But anyways,
yeah, I remember having that conversation with her before, because I was frustrated by the whole thing then. And so I just soon get them off our books as soon as we can.
I'll vote with you, Jeff.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, John,
John, I reluctantly.
Sue,
Sue, nay.
Sue, no. Jeff, I, 2-1, and it still carries. Yeah. Okay, tax lien foreclosures.
So Gregory Rehnquist came in, I believe it was Wednesday, last Wednesday, and he handed me $1,200, which covers his 22 liens, which is.
Not his, not
At
his.
the house. 22 liens. And he asked to get it, quick deeded back to him or the estate.
So how much did he owe in liens and taxes? But for that
Altogether,
year, for that year,
22.
the year he's asking, he has outstanding taxes for 24. 23 is gone to lien
Yep,
and 22 had foreclosed. So he's asking, if I'm reading this right, to have it deeded back to his estate for the payment of just the 22 taxes. Or what would have been the 22 taxes if it hadn't foreclosed. So I'm just looking for how much does the 1,600 cover a significant amount of 23, or is it just barely enough, or?
it's only a little bit of 23. He owes, on 23, a little over 1,000. And he only gave me maybe 200 left over for the 23 tax year. So he still owes a lot, but he did tell me that you can't really take people's word, but he will start bringing in monthly instead of just at the payment dates. So he can.
So he understands he's gonna be right back in this same position come next December.
Yep,
if he
and I
doesn't.
told him that. Yep,
And there are people living in this house, correct?
yep.
Well, I'll make a motion that sorry. Won't shut off. I'll make a motion that we execute a municipal quitclaim deed to Rehnquist, Esther W. Estate and C/O Ratcliffe Linder PR. For property located at 72 Westbrook Street for the payment of what would have been owed for taxes and liens in 2022.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
And you have cash on hand, correct?
Right, yep.
Okay, all those in favor, John,
John, I.
Sue,
Sue, I.
Jeff, I.
So I won't be able to sign this. And I also think the recording fee for this should come out of what he owes.
Agreed.
Do we need all three signatures?
No, I don't think so, do you?
I don't think so. I think it's fine.
Right. And what's that next note about Boyer?
Clarice called, well, I called her just letting her know about the deadline that we gave, that little letter I sent out. She told me she was gonna call me back within probably the next week and a half now to, tell me if she could come up with the money or not. I did just wanna add it in there just in case she did come up with it. She said she's moving back down here in a couple months, so hopefully she gets some money, but she said she'll try her best to get the money together within the next week and a half, so we might see another one.
So I was gonna ask, so on the other 5 tax acquired properties, the so-called friendly last chance letters went out, correct?
Yeah.
And I was gonna ask you how many responses we've had, just one?
Just her, yeah. And then there's also George Neal, who was the one that passed away. I tried calling probate, I tried looking up family members online, I tried calling them, emailing them, and I haven't gotten anywhere with it. And I tried calling their previous attorney, he gave me numbers that don't work anymore. So I had a loss of who's a descendant to him and how to get in touch with them.
Probate didn't have, they can't give you that, or they
They
don't
gave
have
me
anything?
a name, it was, I don't know if it was brother or, I think it was his brother, but I couldn't find a number that actually worked well with him. The kid, none of the numbers, I've talked, like, tried to get in touch with like 4 people, when their numbers don't seem to be working.
So is this before the probate court?
Where does property stand? Like with probate?
As far as I know, he didn't have a will. So it
I
never
got,
really.
excuse me, there's somebody talking in the background. I can't hear.
Some of the fire department people, do you want me to shut the door?
Can we, not like all the way, but.
Not
close
that
the rest of
door.
the way?
Or I can ask them to shut their door.
And yell at them, tell them to be.
That's a big
I just
door.
want to hear her yell. So just can't see it. Okay,
They all gave it a dirty eyes.
you just yelled at them.
Did you give them the mother, be quiet?
Let me just shut the door. Sorry.
So is this before the probate court? I couldn't hear that answer.
I called them and they didn't have anything to do with the house, but they gave me an attorney that they used to work with. I forgot his name was Jesse something.
Is that the one that called you?
I called him.
Cause isn't this the same property where an attorney called you and wanted you to?
Yes, that was the same one, but I didn't wanna get in touch with them because when I talked to MMA, they said I couldn't give the deed back to somebody
Right.
who's passed, and they wanted that.
Yeah.
So I didn't wanna contact them and say, hey, I don't know what to do at this point. I know you want it, but,
Yeah,
so,
Well, they can
That's-
buy it, bid on it if we put it for
How's that?
sale.
Did they pay the taxes?
I guess, so after kind of talking with them just a little bit more, he had a mortgage through MBA. But then MBA was taken over, or I think there were associates with MBA, and it didn't really say that in any deeds that I looked at. It was just a weird company, I didn't want to say, yeah, okay. But they said they were associates with the MBA, but every time I sent a tax bill to MBA or anything, it just came back. And that's been happening for maybe 2 years now. So,
I think we should refer this one to Kristen.
yeah,
okay,
yeah, that's my thinking as well.
I can give her an email.
And I guess I'll make a motion to that effect that we, for just this case,
Right.
Kristen. And I also, before we jump and on the bandwagon of selling it, I think we should at least have a conversation about, is that worth anything to us as a town, given its location across from the community center. Not the house, but the land.
Where is it?
It's that yellow house. It's a small little yellow house. It's, so if you pass the school, it's right on the left of the school. It just
Quite
sits
narrow.
back. Yeah, that one, sorry. I'm bad directed. Yeah. it is.
Past the school.
Yeah, it is. Just directly off to the left. It's
Okay.
right on the side of the road. It sits back just a little bit. It's kind of covered by a little bit of bushes, but it's a pretty nice place. Nothing's broken yet. I went to go check it out.
So you question selling it?
Well, no, I'm not that far into it. I just think we should have a discussion about it, given its location.
Pretty cute place.
Okay, so you
And-
made a motion to turn this over to Kristen
Yeah,
and you seconded it. Okay. Any further discussion on it? All those in favor, John,
John, I.
Sue,
Do I?
Jeff, I.
So Hannah, can you refresh my memory? What was the date was in the letter? The friendly,
Uh,
this is your last chance.
I put in the 21st, which was a month from when I send it out, February.
Of February. So I would make a motion that if for any properties that have not contacted Hannah and had a bona fide discussion with her about repurchasing it, that we initiate the new tax lien foreclosure sale process after the 21st.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, John,
John, I.
Sue,
Do I?
Jeff, I. So John, you want to talk about the demo debris facility?
Yeah, I can. Did you skip update on solo rebate on purpose, or you planning on going back to that? I just don't want to
Oh,
miss that.
I did, I jumped right over it.
I think, well, I'm wondering, my understanding is that as we talked last week, we discussed that letter did not have anything to do with this. Is that, do we all agree with that now?
I do.
And Phil's
Yeah.
working on dealing with the issues that letter raises, correct?
Yeah, we're all done with it.
Yep,
Oh, you are, okay. So, so where do we stand with the solar rebate? And notwithstanding the events of the last few days of freezing all federal funds.
I tried calling today. I was on hold for a little bit. But as I know, I haven't seen anything on the web, on my app. Well, it's not really an app, but I log in.
Portal.
Portal? Yeah, my portal, sorry.
I
haven't
think that's
seen
what you were
anything.
trying to.
My brain hurts a little bit. So I haven't seen anything on there, but I did try calling. I haven't been able to get in contact with them. I tried actually calling them all week, last week. But. I
So
still can't call.
nothing new.
Right,
how much is this grant for?
Well, it's not really a grant.
I still don't know. Penny said it was like 1,400. But,
Oh, I thought it was a lot more, like.
No, I think it's more than that.
is it?
Yeah,
For some reason,
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was
I thought it was,
50,000,
I thought it was like 61,000.
oh, less than, that. Okay. All right,
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm just afraid we're gonna end up missing a deadline. We're gonna have
14 to
submitted,
16,000.
we're gonna have submitted it, and when we finally get in touch with them, they're gonna say, oh, you missed the deadline.
Well, I think what what we're waiting for, I think what Hannah just put in is to get the number to allow us to apply for it. Because we don't pay taxes,
I understand that. But
so we don't have a taxpayer number, so it has to give you a number, so as a municipality, you can get a tax rebate.
I understand, but it just seems as though this is, I mean, I know the IRS is slow, but this is, I guess my suggestion is can you, if I were, I think we should talk to Meg and see if she can help us, tell us where the situation is and see if she can help us some. I mean, if you recall, this is the grant that wasn't supposed to cost the town any time or money.
Right, I think when I last spoke to her, when I had that Zoom meeting with her, she gave me the videos and stuff just to like start the process and get to know how to do it. But I don't know, can't remember if she said she couldn't really tell me exactly how to do it.
Well,
But she just gave me all the tools for it.
there must be someone in that office that works down there, that's worked with the town, that's gone through this process.
I mean, I can definitely email her back and ask. But,
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if she can probably just give me to a person that could help.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd even email her. I would call her. I mean, there's got to be someone there that can help you. If not, I would suggest perhaps calling either Shelley Pingree's office or Senator King's office. You don't have to ask for Senator King. The staff will help you. Those are just two thoughts I have. And I'm all ears if somebody's got more.
Yeah, I may have expressed it earlier, but I thought we were chasing red herring on this whole thing from the beginning, so.
Why?
Because we're a municipality.
But I read the stuff that, and it says that you can receive these, but you
Through
have,
third parties.
but you have-
Every one of them I'm aware of.
but
is
you
through a
have to
third
have,
party.
you have to have that number before you can do it
Yeah,
from the IRS.
every one of these that I've seen, and I've seen probably half a dozen. If you're a not-for-profit, well, not-for-profits can actually do it easier than a municipality. You have to use a third party to process it. And they use their tax ID. And they're able to do it.
That's not what the information with this grant said.
I just don't know of anybody who's done it. I mean, if there's a town out there that's done this, I'd really like to know about it.
Well, that's
The
what I
other
thought
thing is-
Meg could help us with.
Yeah, and the other thing is that although I don't think the freeze on grants and are gonna affect the ambulance, this is one that I think that at the end of the day, they're gonna go, nope, this is not one the federal government is gonna pay for.
But I still don't think we should just throw our hands up and throw 16,000 possible dollars away.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I think we need to be prepared to write this one off as well. I think, or find some alternative funding for it.
But we're not really looking, I mean, it's not being spent somewhere else. That's it.
Isn't this for the
Yeah.
solar farm? Yeah, we've already built the solar.
Right, but that was already paid, this was like a.
That's already been
rebate.
paid for.
Yeah, it's already been.
They were
paid.
hoping to use this or at least part of this for the fence and getting
Right,
that.
Oh,
And I feel
But we
bad
have
that it's sucking up so much of Hannah's time.
yeah, and that's really where my point is. I just think we're chasing something that we're not gonna see the results of anyway, but I mean, we still gotta find out the answers onto there's a process for us to get a tax ID that allows us to do this.
There is, I looked it up online,
Okay.
I found the grant, and there's a process, you file with the IRS to get a number to allow municipalities to get these kind of rebates.
Yeah. That's,
I do-
that's the, that's the
that's-
tail you gotta chase.
That's your first step, and it probably should have been done a long time ago. But
Okay.
All right, now to demo debris.
Yeah, that's the one thing I forgot to print off. So I'm gonna go to my email. If you lose me, let me right back in. I think I did this earlier. If I can find it. Gotta move this and I'm gonna read it from there. Hopefully. It's gonna take me a second. Whoop, wrong thing. That's my credit card. I'm getting there. Hannah, do you remember when I sent that to you, that revised? I sent it to all you guys.
They said it yesterday.
Yeah,
Was it yesterday?
Yep.
yeah.
I think it was like, I gotta say like 10:30. Maybe 11, but it was pretty early.
Boy, I'm not seeing it. Damn.
Monday,
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, hold on a minute. Got it. Okay, so just so we're all dealing with the same thing, I'm calling this revision 2A, which was slightly different than the one that was in your packet. Mainly typos and stuff. I gotta open it. I changed. I don't think we're gonna get this done in time. Oh, damn, sorry. To make it effective March 1st. And give people plenty of time and warning. So I think I think we need to change that effective date, and I'm not sure I did that in here, but I may have to April 1st, which again is not critical because it's not the end of the world. But the big, I guess the big thing that I wanted to talk about was I did, and I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I did put a small amount transported by a car SUV or less than a half pickup truck load at $0. Because I got thinking a lot of people, that's all they have is a pickup truck. Or at least I assume that's the case. So I'm not convinced that's a great idea, but there was some comments to that effect, and I see some merits there. I put in there just below the fees in bold to remind contractors, even if they have a contractor permit, that the source of the debris brush has to be from within the boundaries of South Thomaston. It says that earlier, but I wanted to reemphasize that here so there was no confusion between the user fee and the contractor permit. I put the contractor fee at 2,400. Again, I don't know if that's a good number or a bad number. I'm trying to find. I think we need to try to find the sweet spot between what's so high that we're not going to get anybody to do it, and what is, reasonably high. So, that's that. And I kind of turned the contractor permit on its head. And instead of having people apply and getting a permit if they're in good standing. Basically, anyone can apply and get it. And then if they don't, if they violate the rules, and sort of lose their good standing, for lack of a better word, then they lose or potentially lose their contractor permit. I did put the effective dates. I don't know if I changed that. Cleaned up a lot of the formatting and stuff. I did put I gotta find the effective dates, which I can't see there right at the moment. I didn't change it, but I think we need to change the March 1st effective date for debris to April 1st. And I had moved the brush effective date to July 1st. It just struck me as a year was too long for that. I could understand maybe delaying it a little, but given that I don't think we're going to complete this today, maybe that should be August 1st or something. You know, I'm not wedded to that. Wedded to those numbers, but I also noticed I got them in here twice. I don't know why I have that, so that's an issue. Typo. So that's kind of really it from from a substance. I did make a lot of Terry helped me out a little formatting. It was kind of a mess and some typos and I apologize, but for some reason I was trying to have the second version have a like a blue font as opposed to a red, so we could track the changes. And in the process of doing that, I lost everything. I mean, I lost the first changes. So, but that's pretty much it. So, I still think it needs a little work. I guess I would like your thoughts about the fee. And I guess I'd like your thoughts about sort of flipping the contractor permit on its head. I know Phil was a little uncomfortable being the final say, so I think I put in here that it can be appealed to the select board if someone loses it. And well, I meant to if I didn't. And that's kind of it. Questions?
What amount did we have on the small car and SUV before?
Zero.
Per fee? It was always
Zero.
zero?
Yeah,
For the car and the SUV, yeah, but it didn't include the half pickup. The half pickup before was, I think, 10 and more than a half was 15.
And do we have any idea what size vehicles most of our trash comes in on?
I would say in pickups. There's a lot of trailers though.
yeah,
A lot of contractors use trailers these days, and some of those dual axle trailers are big.
Yeah, but that's contractor. They're gonna be under a different fee structure.
Well, only if
Right.
they buy the contractor. They don't have to buy the contractor permit.
They're charging all residents. Correct, he keeps saying contractors, what about residents of the town? People who live here,
yeah,
are they contractors?
No,
no,
unless, well, they might be.
it could be.
I understand, but if they're using their personal property, stuff done. They're a homeowner. Right?
Yeah,
We're
when,
gonna charge homeowners for the brush. I understand you have a problem with the hopper and all that stuff, but
Yes,
those.
if they're more than a half a pickup truck.
So you buy a sticker. Got a couple cars, buy a couple stickers, then every time you come, you gotta pay the number.
Well, apparently not if you have a SUV or a half pickup truck load, you don't have to pay anything.
Well, it's not worth it, the gas to come up here, dump it, you know what I mean, back and forth, back and forth.
I
Well-
do have,
Worried about,
I do have a couple of comments, John.
Yeah,
I do think, I think the brush, I think we ought to wait for the brush totally, at least until the end of this season. So I'm talking early, like I said, early fall or, yeah. And I don't have a problem with going a year, but I do think we ought to go at least through this, because the whole reason for delaying the brush is I wanna see the impact of how we're doing the brush on the budget before I decide that we need to start charging a fee for brush.
mhm.
And so I'd like to see the brush portion of it pushed to the fall, or even late fall.
Well, if we're gonna push it to the fall, we might as well push it to next spring. I mean, we don't get it.
Yeah.
Unless there's a big storm, we don't tend to get a lot of brush in the winter, but.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with that. I'm not. You know, let's do it a year. Make it easy.
Yep.
This is gonna take a lot of work and it's gonna require training for Dana and. But the brush, if we do it the way we're doing it now, it's gonna be quite expensive. Now, Jimmy hasn't, I don't believe has gotten up there and tried our third option yet. He was supposed to, but then he's been a little busy, I understand, with snow and ice and cold. So he hasn't gotten up there to try that chopper head, for lack of a better word. But you know, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Sue, you in agreement on that?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, so we'll push
I
the brush
also
up.
think 2,400 is way too low still.
I do too.
All right,
I
well,
mean, I think we could put it at 10,000 and we would get takers on it.
I think that's too high.
Although, yeah, well, my gut says 10,000 is too high, but I'll tell you, talking to folks, they don't think. They think there are contractors that will pay 10,000.
Oh, I think there are some.
So
And they can pay by the load if they have to, right?
right,
If they're not, don't feel that they would ever make that.
Right, but the trouble with paying by the load is they can't get the voucher. All the stuff has to come from one place. And there was a third issue. Can't remember what it was.
but I'm willing to go like 5,000 maybe and see how it does for a year. If we have 500 takers on 5,000, then maybe we ought to.
when the contractors on the brush, you worried that they've done too much brush, contractors, or are you worried about the hopper, as far as
Both,
matches and stuff?
All of it. Yeah.
both. Oh, yeah, a lot of contractors bring in brush.
Well, then if they're doing it for business, they can charge it to their
Right.
clients. But I'm talking about homeowners
Yeah.
and people, what's gonna happen to me, John, is people are gonna come up with pickup truck full of brush and they're gonna say, they'll dump it on my land or somebody else, their neighbor's land. And and I've had it happen already. So I pick up brush that people dumped on my land and take it to the stump dump and reload it. So I know how this kind of works. And so I think if you leave the residents alone and you stick to the contractors, they're getting paid for it anyway. They get paid to haul it anyway.
Yeah, I think that just gets really complicated to administer.
All right.
I really do.
Well, the contractors are ultimately the residents anyway, because they're gonna bill it to the residents that they're working
They're
for.
working.
Right, even if they live in Rockland and they're working on my house, they can buy a permit as long as the debris comes from my house or your house, Sue, or Jeff's house.
Right.
And that happens all the time.
And the other comment I've gotten from the public, and it was on both the transfer station sticker and our sticker is that if we have to pay, in this case, $20 for a sticker and it has to go on our vehicle, then we ought to be able to buy a second one and a third one for half price. I can tell you that the transfer station took that up at their last meeting and said, no. So if you want two stickers,
No.
you pay $50 and $50. Part of
Yeah,
the reason,
and I think that's less of an issue out here. Because first of all, we're not charging for just a little tiny bit in a car or something. And I don't know.
I think if you're fortunate.
Buy
to
a
have
sticker,
two
and if
vehicles-
you're that worried about 20
Yes.
bucks, make
That's where I
sure
looked at it.
you're that worried about 20 bucks, make sure you bring your zero charge load in the one that has a sticker on it.
yeah. Well, that was part of the feeling at the transfer station board, but the other was that it would be very difficult for them to orchestrate it, because you'd have to prove, you'd have to have documentation that they bought the first one at the full price and that they live at the same address and it's the same.
Right.
And
Yeah, I mean,
for them to do that there is very difficult. It might be easier for us to do it, but, so I'm just throwing that out there. I personally think at $20, if you've got 5 vehicles that you want to take to the dump because you don't want to get one of them dirty, then you buy 5 of them at 20 bucks and that's $100 for 2 years of dumping.
I agree.
if you can afford 5 vehicles, you can afford $100.
There you go. But I just had to, I felt obligated to bring it.
No, I
Forward.
understand. I understand. So I'll, Sue, anything else you want to add?
No,
All right, so I'm gonna change the effective dates. For both, actually, moving the other one to April 1st. I'm gonna move that to 5,000. I'm gonna have, I really want Phil and Amy and Terry to read this carefully and say, oh, how's that gonna work? Before we enact it, not after we enact it.
right.
So I'm begging you, Hannah, and everybody in there who's gonna deal with this to read it carefully. And if you don't, if it isn't clear what something means, or if 2 people in the office interpret it differently, that means it's not clear. So, and then we can come back to our next meeting and hopefully enact it.
So if we change the effective date to April 1st, does that mean they still get their sticker till April 1st?
Oh, good question.
With that,
The old, do they still keep the old sticker till April 1st now instead of
well,
March?
I thought, yes, because I thought we were gonna pass out the new instructions and requirements when they bought the sticker.
Yep, I just wanted to make
No,
sure. that
no, that's just my personal thought. That's what I
Yeah,
thought the
that's how we
plan
wanted
was.
to do it. I think
Huh?
that's the easiest way to get that out there is to whoever buys a sticker, give them
Right.
the information.
Yeah, and we don't have to give them this whole thing. We just give them a summary with the fees, and if they want the whole thing, they can get it, but. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a very good way to get that information out.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, we'll have to tell, because people are gonna come in March 1st to get stickers, because we've been telling them March 1st, so we're just gonna have to tell them we extended it again.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff, Sue, do you? You okay with that? Or-
Yeah, I think it.
But I want to have plenty of time to do this right, and it's gonna take some training. I think we need to get signs up there. That say something, new stickers available April 1st with, fee schedule at town office or something. I don't know. I haven't even thought that through, but. Remind me not to take this project on again. So are we good?
Good.
I'm good.
You didn't approve the minutes.
No, I meant, are we good with this?
Oh, yeah, we
Oh,
did,
yes.
we did approve
Yeah.
the minutes.
Oh, you weren't in here.
Oh, sorry. I was like, oh, no, the favor.
You weren't
Okay.
here.
So I'll make sure we-
John moved, Stu seconded,
Okay.
3-0.
Yeah,
Both
we
of
did.
them.
But we didn't do the town meeting discussion.
Correct.
No.
And I have my calendar open. Did we find out about the school budget? Meetings?
Oh, no. No, I didn't get a date. She said that, what did she say? I didn't get a clear answer from her.
Well, I think they're gonna be voting on it in June,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna say,
Right.
I don't
Vote
think,
is-
I
the
don't think
vote
that's
is
a
in June.
problem,
yeah.
I don't think that's a
what I was
problem.
thinking.
because they're gonna have their budget meeting before the election, and we're gonna have the election and then our meeting.
Right,
Yeah, and I
So,
think that's what she said. She goes, well, we vote on it in June.
right.
Yeah, so
So they
what
vote
is,
June 10th.
is it June 10th? And I don't think there's a state election this year.
No, there is not.
I couldn't find anything on any bonds or referendum questions or anything. I'm gonna try to come back on, guys. If I lose you. Did I do it?
Here, here.
Yeah,
Wow, I'm
you were
getting
here
good.
before.
Okay,
You just didn't know it.
so that's I think the key is we need to hold the election on a Tuesday, and then the town meeting typically would follow the night or 2 nights later on a Wednesday or a Thursday. The meeting.
Yeah, but we've never done that.
Yeah, we did. We did last year, didn't we?
No.
We
did
had
it, no, we didn't. We did it two Tuesdays later, or one Tuesday later. It was.
One Tuesday later. Okay. Well, it's got to be later.
Yes, it has to be later, but it was
Like
it
the
was a
week
Tuesday.
after.
It was a week or maybe even 2.
Well, I'm fine with a week later. I mean, that's fine, but. So do we know for sure that the 10th is the election day for the school? Because usually they go with the state, but if the state's not having an election,
Right. I
They can
mean,
have it anytime
normally
they
it would be
want.
Normally it would be the second Tuesday of June,
Well, the 10th is the,
second Tuesday.
is it?
yeah. But my point is, if the state's not having an election, they can do it whenever they want. They can anyway. They just choose not to. So I think we need to pin down when that school vote is, and I assume it'll be the 10th. Not the school budget meeting, but this validation vote.
That goes to all the towns.
The validation vote, yeah, the referendum validation. And then we need to have our election that night for select
I'll
board and
double
school,
check with her again tomorrow.
selectmen and school committee. Because we have a school committee up this year, right?
Yeah, I think we do.
Do we? Did,
I think so.
no, he did not. That's right. He did not run last time.
And then if we do it a week later, that would be the 17th. Right? If it's the
Yep.
10th, assuming it's the 10th.
Yeah, June 10th.
But
It almost always lands on graduation night, but now that it's the second Tuesday, it might not.
Well, I think we need to pin that down. So can we
I'll-
say
I'll
this?
call-
Can we say this, that we'll hold our election the same night as the school does, once we find out what that is, and we'll
Okay.
hold our meeting a week the following Tuesday?
Yep,
And of course,
or we could just lock in our meeting on the 17th.
yeah, as long as we vote before then.
Yeah, yeah. And
or I can't imagine that they would do it
I mean,
after that.
I think if they were gonna do it any other time, it'd be on the 3rd,
Yeah,
but even that, I can't even imagine why they wouldn't, but.
Who knows? Okay,
Okay, so right now tentative.
And I don't think there's anything else I can do, and I need to run.
The one thing that Phil had on
Oh.
Machias,
Oh, yeah.
I don't quite understand what that means.
So I kind of just put in your packet what
Yeah,
Bill was kind of feeling for it since we. So October 4th, they had a update in their whole system. It changed literally how you did everything within, Machias. And kind of what Phil wrote was how he could not reconcile October as they did it on the 4th. And you reconcile the whole month, they kind of shortened that to the 1st to the 4th, you had to reconcile that much, and then it was just kind of confusing, he didn't know how to do it. He also didn't know how to figure out what was what in the deposits that we get in the bank, they all kind of just look the same. So he had a tough time trying to decipher what was what, so it took him a while, and they were kind of, hearing it from everybody, and they were trying to figure it out the best they could. And they said, it was hard for them too, it wasn't just the towns. But I talked to Barbara Durr, and she said this was the best way if we collateralize our, with the Loan Bank of Boston. This would get rid of our sweep account, which he would have, it would be easier for him to calculate everything to reconcile with. Because the big problem is with this, with the sweep account, because he would have to take that money, add it to, I'm not exactly sure how everything goes in that, but, he had to take that money, add it to a different amount,
right.
and then kind of reconcile from it. She said this would get rid of it, but we would, everything would be protected under, this collateralization. She said nothing would change really, just that we wouldn't have that account anymore. It'd be easier to reconcile. And she said a lot of people have been doing this because of this problem. And I also spoke with Mindy, and she said this was fine as long as all of our deposits and everything were protected. And I did ask, and she said yes, that everything's okay with that.
So do we lose our FDIC insurance on the first, whatever it is, 200,000?
Not that I know of, no. She said everything stayed the same, it's just where we did this collateralization. It's just under a different name.
We're still with Machias, it's just being,
Right.
And Mindy has seen this third,
Yep, I sent it to her, and I asked her if this was something that she's seen before, she said yes. But she said this is fine with her as long as everything is protected. And I did ask that, and she said it was.
so she's seen that page, that's it. So we're not, so there's no misunderstanding. It says at the top, using letters of credit,
Yep,
and she thought that was fine.
yep, she's seen a lot of other towns do as well.
I'll make a motion, we authorize the treasurer to make the necessary adjustments with Machias as outlined in the using letters of credit document that was presented to us.
Yeah, I'll second that.
any further discussion?
Where are we at with, we're not reconciled to date, correct, still?
I believe he's in, December right now.
Okay. I mean, we really need to keep that up to date. That's critical.
Yeah, and he's been doing he's been working on it every day. He just got
I
stuck.
know, and actually, I saw that before I left, and he's spending way too much time on it.
He was
No
getting
fault of
really
his, no
stressed
fault of
out.
his.
Like, there's no bad.
And this, and doing this will
It will help.
short circuit that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right. All those in favor, John,
John, I.
Sue,
Do I?
Jeff, I. And we don't have monthly reports because we got them last meeting, is that right? Well, we already did the appointments, we don't have any donations, so all we got is warrants. You got anything else, John?
No, I'm leaving.
Okay, see ya. Vote with your feet.
Do we have only just the one meeting for the select board on the 11th, or are we gonna schedule another one after the budget? Oh, you left.
I don't think we're gonna schedule another one, but right now we're meeting with the budget on the 18th and
Right.
20th at 4.
Right,
So if we've got something that has to come up,
we just add it then.
add it to whenever the fire department and ambulance is not.
And he said he was good on the 18th.
Okay, that's good. So the
So-
20th would be better for
Yep.
business.
So,
Cause it sounded like, forestry, the forestry thing might, Sandra might want to talk to us on the 20th.